Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel and into one more daily racing GT Sport. We're gonna be driving the Lexus RCF GT3 prototype. This is actually the very first time that I'm driving this car, and the reason why I'm driving this car is because Zerk5 Drifts suggested this particular one about a month ago in the comments of my BMW Z4 is a winner video. You might want to check that out, it's in the description down below. And thank you Zerk5, because this car is actually really great. I really like how this car feels. It can be a little bit tricky to control it as you come out of the corners, and I struggled with it a little bit, but once you get the hang of it, this can be a really solid car in Group 3 class. And this is gonna be one of those cars where I'm gonna be driving a lot more, just like I do with the BMW Z4. So we're in 4th place. This is one of those longer races. This is a 10-lap race. We're driving in Kyoto. I think this is the Yamagiwa and the other layout combined into one. I never remember, but by now you should be familiar with how my memory works. And this is gonna be a really interesting race because this is not one of those races where nothing happens. As you can see, this BMW fishtailed a little bit, so we managed to get a run on him and get up to the 3rd place, but he got his position back fairly quickly. And as I just said, this car can be a little tricky as you come out of corners. You need to be really smooth on your throttle control, but that's true for most cars in GT Sport, actually. This is one of those games where you actually need to finesse your throttle control if you want to be good at it. You can't just start flooring as you come out of every corner and expecting good results out of it, because they're not gonna get it. And man, I really love how this BMW in front of me looks. I've seen a couple of these, not the GT versions, of course, the I don't even know how to call, but I'm gonna go with the normal ones, the ones that people can actually buy. And this car looks awesome. It's a really expensive one as well, for a BMW at least here in Japan. I think here in Japan one of these go for about $150,000. I don't know if that's in line with the US pricing or the pricing in Europe, but that's how much this one costs here in Japan. But anyways, we're in 3rd place, and this is gonna come down to me and this BMW in front of me. That's gonna be a lot of back and forth between me and this guy, and let's see how well we do. I don't remember the entire race at this point. I only remember bits of it. This guy goes a little bit too wide, and so did I. I could have taken this corner a lot tighter so I could carry a lot more speed as I came out of the corner. That wasn't the case, and I didn't capitalize on that when I had the chance. Looks like the 1st place is driving the Toyota FT1, the road version, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe this is that prototype, the GT Vision car. I don't remember, but I know that there's a GT version of that same car in the game. And this seems to be a really popular choice in Group 3 class in Kyoto track. This seems to be one of the fastest cars around this track in general. But as you can see, we're not that far behind the 1st place, so both our choices, both the Lexus that I'm driving, the BMW that the 2nd place is driving, seem to be pretty good choices for this track as well. I'm not too worried about the guy in 4th place because we have a gap of over 3.5 seconds. That's enough for us to not have to worry about him that much. This corner can be a little bit trickier in this car than in most other ones. Not that this one is not a tricky section, but this can be particularly trickier in this one, as this car has a lot of power, so the more power you try to put in, the more power it's gonna give you And that's the trickiest part about this car, because you need to be careful when you come out of corner with the amount of gas that you put into the car. The second place fishtails a little bit. The first place is kind of lost a little bit of time. As you can see, we're much closer to him now. Not sure if we have the straight line speed to keep up with him, and I don't know exactly how quick this car is on a straight line. Not even the Lexus that I'm driving, because I think this is the very first time that I've driven this car in this game. Actually, I have a couple of other videos that I recorded using the same car, but I had already driven this car before when I recorded those other videos. I'm gonna be uploading those other videos maybe in a couple days or weeks. Let's see how that one goes. But it's interesting how well we're managing to keep up with these guys and still develop a decent gap over pretty much everybody else behind us. And looks like this three-way battle is actually benefiting us immensely, because we're able to tuck into each other's slipstreams and pull away from the other people in the track that are more spread out in the field. And I managed to get pretty close to the BMW, dangerously close actually, because this corner here can be a real bitch when it comes to not ramming people off, because some people tend to brake a lot, some people tend to not brake that much. So depending on whether or not you're in front or behind these people, this can be a little bit tricky. But we're gonna go for our pit stop on our fourth lap. I kind of decided to follow the first place, follow his strategy, because I don't want to fall behind him, and he seems to be the faster guy of all of the other races in this track. So I want to follow his strategy. We went for a pit stop, and we came out of it right behind the 7th place. Now this is where the things are going to be interesting, because there are 7 other cars in front of us, 7 other cars that could potentially slow us down a lot if we're not careful, 7 other cars that could potentially involve us into an accident, depending on how clean these racers are. I haven't had a lot of run-ins with dirty people in GT Sport. I also, of course, I did race against a couple of them, but it's not as bad as Forza Motorsport is. And sometimes I'm under the impression that people who complain about how dirty the drivers in GT Sport are have never played Forza Motorsport before, because that to me is the perfect depiction of what of what a dirty driver is. That game has, in GT Sport, is actually a lot easier to get nicer races, and whereas in Forza Motorsport it's really difficult, which is one of the reasons why I don't bring a lot of races of that game in that channel, because that game can be really frustrating. And we cut the corner a little bit over that section, and we got a 7-second penalty that it's gonna be pretty hard to run out, because I can be pretty quick around this track. It's not like Brands Hatch, where a 7-second penalty wouldn't be that big of a deal, because we're fairly slow around that track and we would be able to run that out naturally. But in this one, I think I'm gonna have to make a conscious effort to go slower around some of these sections if I want to run this out before the race is over. We have about 4.5 laps left to go before the race is over, so maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, that's a rough estimation based on the fastest lap time. But yeah, we have to make something about this penalty, otherwise I don't think we're gonna be able to run that out naturally. But anyways, as I was saying, Forza Motorsport is really difficult to get decent races, and that's that's a source of admiration on my part when I see channels like Super GT, which is my favorite Forza gamer in the community. And I don't know what happened to the guy, but he ghosted out, and we got his position. So we're up in second place already. And the battle is gonna be between myself and the guy that was in first place at the beginning of the race. But anyways, Super GT is my favorite YouTuber when it comes to Forza games, and it's a source of admiration how this guy manages to get some really decent racing out of that game. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the fact that this guy is really quick, much quicker than I am, but still, it's a feat in and of itself to be able to get decent races, even when you're a fast racer like he is. We actually managed to get even more penalty on top of the 7-second penalty that we had. So at this point, we have a 10-second penalty to run out, and we have a little bit over 3 laps left to go. This second place is driving the exact same car, the guy that just overtook me. And even though he's using the exact same car, he seems to be a lot faster in it than I am. And of course, he's gonna keep the second place for himself. And I think he's gonna keep the position for the entire race. I don't remember exactly what happens. Now, let's hope that the battle between him and the first place slow each other down, and that we're able to capitalize on that, because that's gonna be really nice to stay fairly close to them rather than having them pull away. And this guy is pulling away from me. I don't know how. Well, I think it has something to do with the fact that he's stuck into the slipstream of the first place, but sometimes there are something really weird about this game where in a straight line, some of the same cars tend to be a little bit faster when you compare to other people. Like, for example, in one-make races and you're driving on a straight line, it seems that some people seem to be faster on a straight line, and I don't know if that's something to do with their shifting, or I don't know. I noticed the same pattern even when I was driving manual, and as you can see, I'm driving automatic in this race. As I've stated in one of the other videos that I uploaded recently, I wanted to drive automatic because I don't seem to be that much faster in manual. I know that manual is faster, that's a fact. Manual transmission in this game is faster than automatic, but in my case, I don't have enough skill for it to make a difference. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's why for these last few races, since I didn't want to have one extra thing to worry about during the races, I just wanted to drive automatic. But of course, I'm gonna go back to manual at some point, because I want to learn how to drive properly in manual. And as you can see, the second place is really close to the first place, and looks like he's about to go for an overtake. And from a point of view, looks like they're side by side actually, and that might lead them to get involved into an accident. Let's see if that happens. And yeah, the first place still managed to keep his position, but I don't know for how long he's gonna be able to do that. And my main worry right now is not overtaking these guys, because at this point I think both of them are out of my reach. My main worry right now is actually running out the 7-second penalty that I have. That I didn't make a lot of progress in running this penalty out, and we have about a lap and a half left to go, and over 7 seconds to to run out. In the second place managed to take up the lead, so that was to be expected. This guy seemed to be a lot faster than both of us, and it's very well deserved that he's up in first place after all. But yeah, my main worry right now is running out this penalty before the race is over. And well, we have over 7 seconds gap, over 7 seconds penalty to run out, and the fourth place is just 1.6 seconds behind us. So that the math that just doesn't match, and this probably means that we're gonna have to give up a couple of positions in order to run this penalty out. Let's see. And I thought I was taking some of these sections lower, but it didn't seem to be slow enough for it to compute in the penalty marker. So we just managed to shave off a couple attempts off the penalty. And I don't know what I'm gonna do about it. Looks like this would be a case of giving up maybe 1 or 2 positions, because the 5th place is really far from the 4th place. So I think if I slow my car down before the race, the finishing line, maybe we're talking about just losing 1 position and settling for a 4th place finish. Let's see, we're about to reach the end of the race, and this is really nerve-wracking when you know you could maybe go for an overtake. Of course, this is just wishful thinking at this point, but when you're racing, you really have this sort of hope that you might be able to go for an overtake. Now there's this back marker who can be a problem. I don't know if he's gonna try to go for something, but I think at this point we might as well just slow down and hope for the best. We lost the position. This is gonna be a 4th place finish. That was nice after all. We didn't lose a lot. I would have expected this small cat, the guy who finished in 5th place, to have finished up ahead of me, because he seemed to be faster than I was, but something might have happened to him and he finished with a huge gap behind us. But anyways, that's been a 4th place finish. That was a really nice race in GT Sport. I hope you had fun watching the video. If you did like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more GT Sport content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate the help. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description down below or at the beginning of the video. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.